used to see, but nothing left to surround it. You slow it right down, or just keep running around it. I'm new in this town, but I feel so lost without it. Now turn up the lights, there's something special about it. There's something special about it. There's something special about it.
Let's start with you. Off the bat, because I think SoundExchange is a very, or I know SoundExchange is a very interesting model that a lot of you guys might not know about. I certainly didn't know about it, and I've been making records for the better part of the last 10 years. This is something that people can make music with, can make money with off the bat. So could you talk about that real quick, just a little bit about the process of SoundExchange?
Yeah, sure. It's funny because actually when I met Jesse, and I actually work upstairs with Jesse now, and I'm one of his office spaces, I'm like, we have money waiting for you. He's like, welcome.
It's great. I mean, you guys might have money waiting for you as well. So
yeah, so we represent every performing artist and every record label for their digital performance royalties. So this is anything, if any of you guys are artists or have a record label, that anything is being streamed on Pandora on any of their stations or getting played on SiriusXM or any sort of digital streaming service. This is money that is always collected through us. A lot of times we do have this money on hold waiting for the artists that are being played that just haven't captured or signed up with ASCAP yet to actually claim that money. So we do go searching for them. We do attempt as much as possible to find people. A lot of times when you make that phone call or shoot that email out and say, hey, we have money waiting for you, they're all like, yeah, right. So sometimes it comes a little bit more difficult, and you'd be surprised by some of the caliber of artists actually and the amount of money that we do have waiting for people. But we do attempt to hold on to all of this money until it can be claimed. And SoundExchange started 10 years ago, and the first distribution about 8 years ago was $20 million out to the record labels and to the artists. And last year we gave out $773 million. So obviously the curve on this is swinging way forward like a hockey stick, and we plan to give out about $1 billion this year, and still climbing. So this is a huge revenue stream for people that actually get airplay.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Maybe Michael, you obviously deal with a lot of film and TV placements, and therefore deal with the publishing side a lot, while also in certain cases dealing with the master. Can you talk a little bit about the process of sort of getting into that world, I suppose, or what the barriers of entry are?
Well, Mophonics isn't the only company that does what we do. There are hundreds out there, so there's literally thousands of opportunities, I think, for people to get in and try their hand at demoing for commercials and other visual media. But typically the way it works is that there's a demo fee that's paid to those people who fit the creative brief that we're given. And then if they win, they get a chunk of money, and they retain ownership of the writer's share and some of the publisher's share. And they participate every time that song is placed or relicensed also in the royalty stream. And the other way we work too is these opportunities we're equal parts buyer and seller. So not everything is original composition. We do a lot of licensing. We work with artists who want to do compositions, but they've also got a catalog. So we just try and fit the right opportunity with the right song, the right track, the right artist. And we do our best to allow the artist to retain ownership of that content versus whoever's buying it, the brand or the label. So it does have a shelf life long after what typically would be a work for hire when somebody would buy it and own it. We try and be a little bit more nimble on the artist's behalf. One of the things I've been saying is that, as an artist on a label, you can try and place 10 songs off of a record and hope you can license those. Or if you're a nimble producer-composer in the band, you can demo on a couple hundred opportunities, get paid for all of those, and any one of those could be your next single should you be able to retain those rights.
That's a good point. And to that, Ian, you've obviously been sort of more on the artist side, or the traditional artist side, and sort of transferred over to the film and TV side. Do you have any advice to give on that kind of move, or would you recommend that?
Yeah, I think it was a unique situation for me because I was never the songwriter in Passion Pit, but I was there from day one, basically. I was full-on band member. I basically put together the live shows with the help of the other guys all on my own. So I was very invested in it. And because of that, I was able to use the name when speaking to other people, and I would never be like, well, I'm Passion Pit. But you could be like, I am of this band, I represent this band, are you interested in talking further about that? So I think that definitely helps. Like if you are in some sort of known entity in music and you are looking to get into something else, like we're talking about, it's okay to, I don't want to say milk it, but like don't be afraid to kind of have them lift you up a little bit to get there.
How does an artist make money with record sales or in a more traditional record label setting?
Oh, jeez. I mean, I think especially for the artist level, we're obviously an indie label. We don't do 360 deals. We don't take a part of all the live stuff. We don't have a publishing company, which right now there's a lot of labels that they have their thing and they always try and expand a little bit, and so they try and take a piece of publishing. They try and take a piece of everything else.
Especially on the major label side. Right?
Especially on the major label side. So, we don't do that because, to do that, traditionally you obviously advance more money, and, we're a small indie. We can't offer the giant advances. Our selling point has always been a matter of curation and connections and reputation, as well as obviously coupled with, thankfully, a decent sales history that's kept us alive after 8 years, thank God. But I mean, I think for a lot of our artists, quite a lot of them do other things aside that they've kind of pivoted from where they've started. We have, for example, we have a band called Ioweco who are an incredible band, and they do a lot of other things, and they have become known as Ioweco. But based off of that, Leo from the band, he does a lot of scoring for other films. They do a lot of DJ sets. They do things that have kind of springboarded from the name of the act, and really these days, unless you hit a certain tier of being an artist, it's very hard to make money, to be honest, off of just record sales. And so you have to think of it as the music is really your springboard for what else you can do to get off that. Because I've seen so many bands where they have no idea how to DJ, but they can charge 10 grand just to DJ a random after party because they're the guitarist in some band who headlines a festival. Like, you can do so much off of just your name. And I think that's kind of the new way of looking at it for a lot of these artists, is they realize that everyone out there who has the money that wants to pay you for what you do with your music, they still think of it in terms of, but what's your thing? Like, what's the brand? What's the brand?
Yeah.
Like, you're a passion pit, and that makes sense. Yeah, cool. I'll pay you a lot of money to DJ this, or I would like you to score this film, or we'll pay you to be in a Jeep ad, whatever it is. Whatever that you feel comfortable with. There's we have several of our artists who don't do any of that, and that's totally fine. You can do whatever it is that you want to, but if you are being realistic about it and want to be able to make money, I think a lot of it is looking at as the music and what becomes of it as kind of the face of what you are, and then there's so many things you could do behind the scenes. I mean, I think it really comes to advantage that if you look at it, like if you look on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, like almost all the most followed people are still musicians, even though there's so many other people out there, and brands and people still respect musicians as a brand. And it's really, I mean, the cool factor of being a musician will never die. Thank God.
Yeah, you're still going to get laid if you're on the stage. Maybe.
And to that point, it's interesting because a lot of brands that come to us are interested in kind of the social benchmarks of these artists before they'll even consider them, because they get equity out of their fan base.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think artists can really play that to their advantage. You can. Thankfully, if you are a cool producer or a cool band, whatever, you will still get paid decent money hopefully from brands to do things more than you can probably make on the record side sometimes.
What would you recommend to somebody who's never submitted music to a company like yours? What should they do? What's the sort of appropriate way to go about it, to not piss you off, to not look like an amateur, to make the best effort possible to get in there?
One, you got to be persistent for sure. I mean, to be able to have kind of establish a rapport, not every email is going to go answered. I try and, say, hey, thanks for this, I'll file it and get back to you. But to send something, with 3 or 4 tracks, which are your specialty, don't say necessarily I'm a jack of all trades. A nice streaming link and then an opportunity to download a zip file, it typically seems to be the best way for us. And you're not overwhelming us, because then we're going to hear what you think is your best material, And then if we want more, then we'll come back and ask for more.
How about you?
Never include MP3s as an attachment to your email. That is my #1 pet peeve. I'm sure yours as well, because it screws with our email system, and that gets deleted so quickly.
Yeah, well, please, while you're at it, what else you got?
No, I mean, yeah, we get quite a lot of demo submission emails just to kind of to our general inbox, and there's no way to listen to all of them. I mean, you know, I think it's kind of past the days of sending a nice little demo kit. We get, sometimes my heart breaks a little when we get so many like very nice packages of like a photo of them and a bio and a press and all this kind of stuff, and it's just like you just wasted $5 printing this up and sending it to me, because it's kind of past those days. You know, this isn't the 80s anymore or whatever it is. You know, you just send a link to us via email, and if we do like it, we'll get back to you. But you know, I think especially for us, you know, we're a smaller label that doesn't release a ton of stuff. You know, we pride ourselves in a curation, and so we just don't get back to quite a lot of people, and I don't, you know, hopefully people aren't offended by that, but it's just, you know, we don't really do a lot with terms of the unsolicited demos. I think the best way to really get noticed by labels like us is to really come in either through a connection in the industry, because, you know, the music industry, as with all the other entertainment industry subdivisions, it's very much of a industry of connections. As much as we kind of hate to admit sometimes, I think we all know a lot of artists who have done a lot better than they should based on the connections, and vice versa.
There's something special about it, about